Well, you should be happy you've now beaten all 32 teams. What team did you enjoy beating the most, and perhaps which one the least?
Holy cow, that's a good question. The team I would love to beat the most is the Giants. There's no doubt about that, because they've taken away some really, I've always joked with Eli, but yeah, and I think he likes that I bring it up all the time. So I'm bringing it up again. I do not like losing to those guys. So when we beat them, I love that. And the team I like to beat the least is obviously the Patriots. Again, those are my guys, man. Those are the other warriors that I went to battle with for so long.
Anytime somebody starts an answer with "that's a good question," they're just buying time. They don't know what to say, and Tom Brady eventually pulled out a couple of teams. He plays the Giants coming up in about 7 weeks, so I don't know that that's bulletin board material for the Giants. Yeah, he likes to beat them because they have beaten him in a couple of Super Bowls. MDS joins us now for the Week 4 awards. We're going to get right to it like we always does. MDS, your Offensive Player of the Week.
Well, I don't know that he'll be the better quarterback on the field in that Giants-Buccaneers game coming up later this season, but I do believe that Giants quarterback Daniel Jones had his very best game so far as an NFL quarterback on Sunday in New Orleans. In his first 400-yard game, he continued to show that he can make plays with his legs. And in the fourth quarter and in overtime, he did what the Giants needed him to do. I'm not completely convinced that this Giants franchise is actually heading in the right direction, and I won't be surprised if at the end of this season they make a lot of changes. But I'm starting to become convinced that they've taken care of the most important piece, which is finding their franchise quarterback. Daniel Jones is looking really good. He is playing the kind of football that the Giants need him to play for them to be able to go on the road, beat a good team like the Saints. And I think the Giants have to be very pleased with the progress he's showing this year.
MDS, when the Giants and Bucs play later this season, the best quarterback on the field will be Tom Brady. Segue into my player of the week, my offensive player of the week. He didn't have his best game on Sunday. There's no question about that. But I didn't know how his emotions would affect him going against the Patriots. I thought he handled all that pretty well. I would worry about a hangover for this team coming into this week if they were not facing the Dolphins. They are facing the Dolphins, so I don't worry about that hangover for them. But he was 22 of 43 for 269 yards on a rainy night that probably affected some of those throws. And if AB hadn't dropped a touchdown pass, he would have had a touchdown pass. But he set the NFL's all-time passing yards mark. The NFL set up this schedule perfectly. They knew what was coming, and it worked out for him. He was the best quarterback on the field that day, and he will be the best quarterback on the field against the Giants, and he will be the best quarterback on the field against the Dolphins this week, Mike.
And don't write off the Dolphins, though, with Brian Flores there as the coach. He knows Brady almost as well as Belichick knows Brady, and he may be able to glean some things from what the Patriots did Sunday night to help the Dolphins try to slow Brady down. And the Dolphins have gotten the better of Brady from time to time during his career. I'm going to go with Cordell Patterson. I thought about Tyreek Hill. I thought about Patrick Mahomes. But when is Cordell Patterson ever going to win anything? Well, this guy who has emerged as the top running back for the Atlanta Falcons, he had 34 rushing yards, and on top of that, 82 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns on 5 catches. A fantasy football gold mine for anyone who had him, and an example of resiliency. He's been around since 2013 as a first-round pick, didn't work as a receiver, became an effective special teams player for the Vikings. He's bounced around, and he's having one of his best years ever, and it's great to see. All right, flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. MDS, who do you have?
I have Quinnen Williams. He played 65 snaps for the Jets on Sunday against the Titans. That's a big workload for a 300-pound guy. And he played really well. He had 2 sacks in the Jets' upset win. He also had 1.5 sacks a week earlier against the Broncos, so now 3.5 sacks in the last 2 weeks. Really impressive development for Quinnen Williams, this young player. And also one of the best stories of the week is that his brother, Jets linebacker Quincy Williams, also got a sack, making them the first brothers in NFL history to both record a sack in a game. Really good game for the Williams family, and Quinnen Williams is my pick.
Trevon Diggs had 2 interceptions. He leads the NFL with 5 this year, has had at least 1 in every single game. He's become the guy the Cowboys thought they were paying for when they spent $50 million on Brandon Carr in free agency. He's become what they thought they were spending first-rounders on with Terrence Newman and Mo Claiborne, and neither one was quite the ball hawk that this guy is. They spent a second-rounder on Diggs, and they would have taken him in the first round if CeeDee Lamb hadn't been there for them to get, so they got him in the second round. Cowboys have 10 takeaways this season. He has half of those, Mike.
Yeah, unbelievable that's happened, and exactly what the Cowboys needed. Antoine Winfield Jr., exactly what the Buccaneers needed. I'm still stunned he lasted until round 2 last year. He's my defensive player of the week. He had an interception and a forced fumble. He just has a knack for making plays when they need to be made. Unfortunately, he suffered a concussion during the game. We'll see if he misses any time. But he is one of the key members of that defense, and they need him because they are very leaky this year. A lot of injuries. They need Devin White, and they need Antoine Winfield Jr. Those are the guys who are the playmakers on that defense. Rookie of the week, MDS, who did you select?
I selected Justin Fields of the Bears, who looked like a completely different player in his second pro start than he did in his first. Now, some of that is a drop-off in the quality of competition. They were playing the Lions, who don't exactly have Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney out there like the Browns did in Justin Fields' first pro start. But I just thought Fields looked so much more comfortable with the game plan, with the play calling. He looked the way a franchise quarterback needs to look when he's running an offense. Whether he'll remain the Bears starting quarterback or the job will be handed back to Andy Dalton, we actually don't know yet. It's going to depend on whatever Matt Nagy thinks at the time that Andy Dalton's knee is completely healed. But my own opinion is Fields showed the kind of progress you want to see a rookie quarterback make from his first start to his second. I would stick with him. I think he's showing the kind of play that the Bears wanted when they drafted him.
Zach Wilson did play what we think is a quality opponent in the Titans, and he won his first game, 21-34, 297 yards. He took only 1 sack after he had 15 in the first 3 weeks. He threw only 1 interception after throwing 7 in the first 3 weeks. He looked like a different quarterback as well, got his first win, and as we saw earlier, got the game ball after the game. Well-deserved for Zach Wilson. I think they're on to something with this kid. He's what they've been missing. Sam Darnold has turned out to be a really good quarterback. Maybe they could have kept him, but Zach Wilson looks like he's going to be a quality starter in this league for a long time, Mike.
The world needs more people named Creed, from Creed Bratton to Creed Humphrey, the rookie center of the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, he handled Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave when the Chiefs went against the Eagles. They had a great rushing attack. Patrick Mahomes was able to throw 5 touchdown passes. Humphrey stepping right in and getting it done for the Kansas City Chiefs as a rookie. Coach of the week, MDS, who did you select?
Cliff Kingsbury. He has the Cardinals as the only 4-0 team in the NFL after their most impressive win yet, I think, a destruction of the Rams on Sunday. And I heard you guys talking earlier in the show about whether Urban Meyer maybe is one of these college coaches who just can't make it work in the NFL. I think a lot of people thought Cliff Kingsbury was going to be that college coach whose stuff doesn't work in the NFL. And I think we have to give him credit for the way he has transferred that offense. He found a quarterback in Kyler Murray that not everyone believed could be a pro quarterback. And they are doing things with a college system, allegedly, but finding a way to make it work in the NFL. Been very impressed with Arizona this season.
It was homecoming in the NFL last week, and Andy Reid got his 100th win with the Chiefs, and it came in Philadelphia against the Eagles. And of course, he had over 100 wins with the Eagles, 140 to be exact. He's going into the Hall of Fame 5 years after he retires. I would think he would be the selection when his name comes up. It's even more impressive when you think about how his week started. In the hospital, we didn't know if he was going to be able to coach. He did, and the Chiefs did an outstanding job against the Eagles.
Homecoming weekend for Urban Meyer did not go well in Ohio for reasons we've already discussed. But the football game on Thursday night of last week didn't go well because Zach Taylor was able to coax the Bengals out of their 14-point deficit. Very impressive that they stayed calm, they stayed cool, and they stayed determined. And there's been so much talk about the fact that during halftime of an NFL game, you really can't do much by way of making adjustments. Well, Zach Taylor did, and his team flipped to more of an empty formation on offense. They took advantage of matchups that they decided based on the first half they could exploit, and that turned the 14-0 hole into a victory for the Bengals, and Zach Taylor deserves the credit for that. And the Bengals also 3-1 this year and in the thick of things so far in the AFC. Okay, we say farewell to MDS, and great job.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.